Lots to go over today, from the new Xbox Game Pass announcements to an update on the Xbox game dev kits story to sales, Ghost of Yote, Helldivers 2, plus more. So lots to talk about today in the news. But before we do get into it, if you enjoy daily gaming news and content, hit the subscribe, share, like all of that stuff. But for now, let's jump into it. So we have the latest announcement here from Xbox Game Pass. Game Pass is on a tear right now. If you think about what has been dropping, from Keeper to Ninja Gaiden 4, and then to the Outer Worlds 2 coming up. And then you're going to have Call of Duty Black Ops 7 coming up in just a few weeks. And we have some more games here that have been announced, some day one games, and so on top of the big ones here coming from Xbox, and lots of cool stuff to go over. So here is the announcement. There's 8 games in this recent batch of games that are dropping. And we'll start here with Power Wash Simulator 2 coming on October 23rd to Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass. This is a day one game. And some people may look at this and say, wow, it's a simulator game. It's a Power Wash Simulator game. If you ever played the first one, this game is fun. It is fun. It is relaxing. So Power Wash Simulator 2, I'm cool with this coming on day one. You have Bounty Star, which is another day one game here coming on October 23rd to Ultimate and PC. And this is an over-the-shoulder 3D action game with mech combat as well as farming and base building. This actually looks very cool. I would go check out videos if you want to see what it is all about, but definitely something to keep your eye on. Super Fantasy Kingdom, another day one here. They say rebuild your kingdom and explore a vibrant fantasy world in the roguelike city builder. So I don't know too much about this one, but this one's coming on October 24th to Ultimate and PC. You have Halls of Torment coming to Ultimate, Premium, and PC Game Pass, where you're slaying hordes of monsters in a survival roguelite. Then you have the Outer Worlds 2, which is going to be a massive game. I believe reviews are going to be dropping today if they're not out already by the time you're watching this, but there will be a lot of talk about this game before this drop here day one on October 29th, of course, on Ultimate and PC Game Pass. You have 100x Resist coming November 4th to Game Pass Ultimate, Premium, and PC. This one looks pretty cool. It's one that just randomly did get announced for Game Pass itself. This is a massive one here. Football Manager 26, day one on PC and to Ultimate and to PC Game Pass on November 4th. And if you're not a fan of this game, makes sense. A lot of people may not be for them, but the PC version and the console versions are both coming day one to Game Pass. This game has a huge audience and it does very well. So Football Manager 26, the newest one in the series here, is dropping day one into the service. So lots of stuff on top of the first party games that are coming over to Game Pass. It's been a very good last few months. It's been a very good year overall on Game Pass Ultimate, to be completely fair. But starting this run right now, when, like I said, Keeper, Ninja Gaiden, Outer Worlds, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, it's one of the best runs I think Game Pass has had in a very long time. And I'll be checking out all of them. I'll be playing every single one of those games. So I am getting my money's worth here with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. All right, we have an update because we talked about this yesterday, and this was not mentioned in any of the news articles. This was not mentioned in a lot of the headlines that were printed. People just printed the headlines, ran with it, and that was the end of the deal. And that was with the Xbox Game Dev Kit. So they went up $500 apparently, from $1,500 to $2,000. And yesterday I said, okay, $500 to me doesn't even sound like that crazy of a raise. A raise is a raise though, and it could potentially hurt smaller developers if they don't want to spend that, depending on how many dev kits that they do need to buy. But there is actually an update here. It doesn't seem like this raise affects really indie devs at all. It's not going to affect smaller developers. If anything, it'll be affecting the big AAA devs that obviously can afford a $500 price raise in their dev kits. But this is what's going on because nobody was reporting about it. A lot of people have to go back and retract and say that they didn't provide all the information, all that stuff. It's a good summary here from Game Over 30 that was what is going on. He says, what this report does not consider, this is the exact one from The Verge, which is the one I went over yesterday, did not include any of this information, unfortunately. So I do apologize for that, not adding this in yesterday when I did talk about it. But he says, as of today, the ID at Xbox program will deliver an Xbox Series dev kit free of charge. So if you're an indie dev, this has no effect on you. So I mean that where you would probably see the majority of people affected by a $500 raise in the development kit. It says developers who do not need extra processing headroom can use their local Xbox Series console as a dev kit, and the GDK game developer kit is free of charge on GitHub and officially supported by Microsoft. A developer can start on the GDK without even applying for ID at Xbox or spending any money up front. And he says, and just so we're clear, dev kits used to be absurdly expensive back in the previous generations, which is true. If you go look up some of the prices of the previous gen dev kits, it's pretty wild. And he says, I've seen several questions pop up around the GDK. If a developer is serious about producing an Xbox app or game, they will need an ID at Xbox account to take full use of the GDKX. However, the account is free once approved. The developer has access to the NDA protected technologies of the GDKX, and there's no cost unless a developer wants to start fully publishing on Xbox console. We've already discussed the free dev kits that are offered with approved accounts on ID at Xbox. So those are the really the facts of the matter on top of the story, rather than just the headline that the dev kits went up $500, which you were seeing. Again, it's exhausting at this point. Yes, Xbox has made lots of stupid, bad moves, stepped on rakes, done anti-consumer friendly things here in the last couple of months or so. Last with the raising of prices in any form or fashion, obviously is anti-consumer, but the headlines anytime there is an Xbox news article, at least as of recently, are absolutely without a shadow of a doubt. You can people, the YouTubers, the influencers, and the headlines, they can try to spin it as much as they want, but they are absolutely trying to capitalize on the negative light right now surrounding Xbox to get as many clicks as possible. And unfortunately, when doing that, lots of misinformation gets spread across the internet. And I'm not perfect either myself, but it's really crazy here with Xbox anytime anything does happen, because I would have said the biggest concern here would have been with indie devs. They're getting it for free either way if they're in the ID at Xbox program, which you've heard a lot of good things about the ID at Xbox program. Then it's really honestly a nothing burger, this story, even though people made it much bigger than it was. Xbox is dead again. This is another sign that they're trying to price out everybody so they can close down the division, all of these absurd takes that were going on surrounding Xbox. So anyways, that is the update to the story. I just wanted to go over that because I even failed myself to mention these things in yesterday, believing that The Verge had all of the information within their article itself. Now, there's lots. It's going to be a big week here at Xbox, specifically when it comes to Halo. But you can already see it coming. Everything's going to be overshadowed that with the fact that Halo potentially is going to be announced for the PlayStation 5. Those are the rumors. They're teasing a lot at the Halo World Championships. We're hearing that we're going to get a Halo CE remake. We're hearing we potentially may see multiplayer, but one of the big rumors here is that the Halo remake could be coming to the PlayStation 5. I think this is probably true. I think it'll more than likely happen, but it's at the same time, we know this is the strategy of Xbox going forward with their first party titles. Any massive games are seemingly going over to the PS5. Smaller games, like we haven't seen Keeper, we haven't seen South of Midnight go over, but they're big ones here. Halo would sell insane amounts on the PlayStation 5. It would be the end of an era in terms of Halo not being on that platform, but it would open it up to more people. But I'm excited to see exactly what these games are. We know, though, that the talking points for the next week after they do announce is that it is coming to PS5 and that Xbox is dead again, essentially. Either way, I'm excited to see Halo CE remake and see if this is the game that they do show off and see how big of a jump it is. What modern mechanics are they adding? What changes are they adding to the game? And we'll be able to see whether it's better or for worse, or at least we'll be able to see a trailer of some sort, knowing that more Halo content is finally coming out. It's time. It's time for some more Halo stuff. My biggest hope here with the franchise is that because they're moving to UE5, they're going to be able to give us more content faster, easier, and we may get spin-offs here for the Halo franchise. But this is going to be a big upcoming time here. Friday, October 24th are the Halo World Championships, and I'm sure we'll get some big Halo game announcements for the future of the franchise itself. All right, let's move over here and let us talk about the sales here. We have Matt Piscatella, Circana, the numbers here for September. And there's two main things here when it comes to games that I would say are significant as to what has happened here in September. One, Ghost of Yotai is done very, very well in terms of sales. They say Matt Piscatella first put this out saying, with 1 week in the market, the US sales performance of Ghost of Yotai was basically flat to that of Ghost of Tsushima. It did great. And you can look at the sales if they're about the same. There's less PlayStation 5s in the market. Ghost of Yotai was a sales success for PlayStation. I don't think that anymore is debatable now with the numbers that Matt Piscatella is referencing here. And what is interesting about that is that this was another one of those games very similar to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which also did well, that had cancel campaigns against it because people didn't like the characters and things like that. So both of those have been a success. The other thing here is Helldivers 2 has been a major success on Xbox. So that kills the narrative here that Xbox gamers do not buy games. People were thinking that Helldivers 2 going onto Xbox would just fail because all they do is play Game Pass. Not the case. Helldivers 2 has actually been here successful as well. Here are the charts. September 2025, US top 15 games ranked by total monthly active users, not concurrent. And you can see PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. And we have here that PlayStation's top games: Fortnite, Call of Duty, Roblox, Grand Theft Auto 5, Skate, NBA, WWE. So even with their active users and player engagement, it's all of the same games all the time. Same here on Xbox. You got Fortnite, Call of Duty, Roblox, GTA 5, Minecraft. And then on Steam, you actually have Helldivers 2 on top, Counter-Strike 2, Borderlands 4, Peak, and Skate, which is, those are the top 5 ones for that. And we have some other major highlights here that were put out here for September 2025. Year-on-year total spend increased by 10% to 4.8 billion. So people are still spending lots of money in gaming, even though things are going up in price. Hardware spend actually did increase as well, year over year by 24%, basically because of the Switch 2. We know everyone complained about the price of the Switch 2, made no difference. People still went out and bought those in droves. Borderlands 4 was actually the number one selling game, followed by NBA 2K26, then EA Sports FC. And then here's where the success for Ghost of Yotai comes in. Number 4 after 2 days. And the report goes through to October 4th, and already in the year to date, it is in the top 20. So I would consider that a sales success here for Yotai. And the fact that it's in line with Tsushima, which was a success, even though it has a smaller install base to choose from. Now, to be fair, as I always say, it is still the minority of people on PlayStation that play the exclusives, but that doesn't mean that it can't be a sales success. It's going to sell a lot, and it definitely did. Silent Hill F reached number 7 in September. And then we have 2K26 is the best-selling game of the year so far. I wonder, NBA 2K26, I wonder if Call of Duty is going to be on top by the time that does come out. And Helldivers 2 is back in the top 20 for the year, the number 4 bestseller on Xbox in September. So that's where the success of Helldivers 2 on Xbox does come in. Obviously, Xbox gamers buy games. They proved it here with Helldivers 2, which would make me think maybe PlayStation is thinking every single multiplayer live service game that we ever put out has got to land on Xbox, or even if they're looking at some single player stuff, if they're seeing that their games sell well on the platform, maybe they will end up putting more of those onto the platform itself. Another interesting thing here is that the PlayStation Portal has an attach rate that has now exceeded 5% in the US. So there's about 1.3 to 1.5 million units of those that have sold for PlayStation users. And when we talk about price increase, even with the price hike of the PS5, the sales increased by 10% compared to August. They say the higher price did not appear to significantly negatively impact units in September. So PS5 selling regardless, even with the price going up. All the people who bitch about and moan about price increases, and then we see this happen. I hate price increases, but if people are going to still go out and buy these things when the prices go up, they're just signaling to the companies that they can sell them at these prices, meaning going into next gen, the prices are going to be very high. It's going to be much more closer to a luxury consoles in the next generation, whereas consoles have always been that cheap entry into AAA gaming. I have a fear here going into next gen that will not be the case, both on the Xbox and the PlayStation side. I think the PlayStation 6 will be relatively expensive comparatively to what we were used to with the launch of consoles. So those are just some of the sales numbers. That's some of the stuff to keep in mind here. And yeah, games are still doing good, even now, even if they're at higher prices, even when people are cancel campaigns against them, they're still selling decently well here. All right, moving over here, we have a story from Battlefield 6, Call of Duty. EA shutting down Call of Duty maps within their Battlefield portal. Interesting thing here. I'm guessing they don't want to be sued or anything along those lines, but what's the point of the portal if you can't just make whatever you want or your own spin on things? This is the story here that EA shuts down Call of Duty inspired Battlefield 6 portal maps. And these accounts here that were making these maps got emails saying that the content deemed inappropriate due to referencing third-party products in Battlefield 6. And then the warning specifically mentions shipment first test that had a description of shipment 2019 edition. Here is the email. So it does not seem like you can make anything in Battlefield Portal. I mean, you probably could just rename this and then it would have less of a chance of being shut down. But EA is getting ahead of it, or maybe they don't want any references to Call of Duty in their games because the game is going to be coming out very soon and they're trying to make sure that people are only focused on Battlefield 6. Who knows why, but I think it's probably more of a legal situation than anything. To me, though, this seems like a case where people are going to do this, maybe get pissed off, and then go over and just play it on Call of Duty, or they're going to not want to use Portal anymore, which is one of the biggest things here that obviously helps improve the longevity of Battlefield by getting continuous user-generated content. So if you're out there making Call of Duty maps, you're going to get them. They're going to be shut down here in Battlefield Portal. I wonder, though, if the name was something else, that if they would still be able to make it, but we would have to see if that's the case. I'm sure there will be many people out there trying to emulate their favorite maps across different first-person shooters within Battlefield 6 Portal. Okay, we have an update here on the NFL license. Unfortunately, if you're somebody like me who was hoping that this would not happen so that we could have more competition, as the NFL games need as much competition as possible, because no matter how you look at Madden, the game just is not improved very much year over year. And if you look at games like NFL 2K25, there's still animations and things in NFL 2K25 that are just so much better than are in the current Madden here in 2025. I think this year's game has gotten better, but fortunately, no competition will never allow this game to reach the heights of what an NFL game could do. And we're not going to see any more competition at least through 2030, as the EA and NFL extended the licensing agreement for Madden through 2030, which, yeah, simulation NFL games will only be with EA and the Madden team. The other thing they do mention here is that they're apparently looking to make a more casual game as well with this license. So we could be, hopefully, I would love to see like NFL Street come back. That would be super cool if you ask me to bring some of those games back. Those were really fun back in the day. That would potentially be a positive here of this new licensing agreement all the way through 2030. And finally, more layoffs at Ubisoft Massive, the team that was behind Star Wars Outlaws, plus The Division. They make it's one of my favorite studios at Ubisoft. And Star Wars Outlaws did not meet expectations in terms of sales. I actually really like the game. I think it's a very good game, but it didn't meet the expectations. And now they put out an entire corporate speak post, basically just saying that there are going to be layoffs here at Massive Entertainment. I wonder what this means for the future of franchises like The Division, for The Division 3, whatever more content is coming from that. But there are going to be layoffs here at Massive Entertainment. They say, as a part of our ongoing evolution and long-term planning, we have recently realigned our teams and resources to strengthen our roadmap, ensuring our continued focus on the Division franchise and the technologies, including Snowdrop and Ubisoft Connect, that power our games. Now, Massive, they made the Division, they've made Star Wars Outlaws, they did the Avatar game, and those worlds are phenomenal. I know a lot of people probably didn't play Avatar, but that world is very beautiful, living, weather changing, all this stuff. Massive does great stuff, so it's unfortunate that there are layoffs there. And hopefully we will still get a variety of games, not only The Division, but with the way things are going in the industry, I feel like that's the way it's going to go. I like The Division. Actually, it's probably my favorite looter shooter, but I would still like them to see them make other games on top of that. But on the video there, if you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.